Hello everyone, my name is Guido Schatzer. I'm the president of the Moldovan Instructional Technology Center, or short MIT Center. This morning I woke up with a big dilemma: to be a nice person, to smile and talk only positive and optimistic things, or to tell the truth. And I decided not to be nice, not to tell a nice story, not today. Why? Because all of us, each person in this room, can make a difference. A difference for a better education in Moldova. Yes, all of us. We are responsible to create a chance for all talented young people to get a better education and better future here in Moldova. So today I made the decision to inform you about dual study without marketing statistics or whitewashing. But also why the dual study will not work like the Moldovan Cobra project team defined it. And I will try to do it in just 10 minutes without going too deep in details, I promise. The aim is to establish an educational model in Moldova which is not a flop, but a success story. And this is very hard work. The first time I spoke about dual studies was in front of the ASEM representatives in 2019, when the NGO was just founded. I talked especially about the German dual study model from the DHBW, the best working one. So we were very inspired when we found out about such an initiative as the Cobra project, and we are looking forward to seeing how it will go on. It is a pity that we have just found out about the WBL for job. That's why we don't know as much about it. We are happy to have the opportunity to hear something about this today. But back to Cobra. Unfortunately, our many attempts to get in touch remained unanswered. I want to mention here that our intention now is not to point fingers at anyone or anything. Our intention is to draw our attention to some gaps which should be eliminated if we really want to produce value, a constructive critique from where others can work. So we remain always open to collaborate with anyone involved in these projects in order to increase their performance. So we have expressed our openness to help and provide free consultancy based on our experience in dual studies in Europe, in order to ensure that the Moldovan project has the highest potential success. Since the beginning, we got the promise that we are very welcome in the external expert advisor group. However, in practice, despite our requests, we were not involved and didn't even get a chance to provide some advice on the early stage of the project, when it is the best time to get informed and to design a nice dual study model from the very beginning. The Cobra project launched a survey where they ask economy agents about dual education, just some few for sure, without offering clear information about the process, goals and opportunities before. Maybe here in the room is someone which filled out this survey, who can give us a direct answer about his expectations, the support and knowledge what he got before about the dual study model. I just want to understand why the results are completely different with the survey the MIT Center did here in Moldova on this topic. If I were asked about how much I'm ready to pay a young student without experience and deep motivation, I'd say that the student has to pay me for the training he gets. Each entrepreneur thinks like that, right? But if they were informed correctly about benefits they get from the dual system, the survey results would be completely different. Another point we have noticed is that there is no success measurement strategy from the Erasmus side. The success criteria are not clear yet, but they could become a good motivation factor and good indicator of what should be achieved. It doesn't make sense to spend European money on uninformative reports and part-time managers and experts, which do the job because they are asked for it, because they are good in reporting. Projects can only be successful with the extraordinary passion, product knowledge and smartness Erasmus have to demand and check the sustainability of the project and the will to implementing them. I have also noticed that here people consider that dual education implemented on the vocational educational level was a huge success. And so they take it as a basis of creating a dual studies model for higher education. Well, I won't go too deep now in explaining why dual education on the college level in Moldova is far from what is done in Europe. But I would like to point out that dual education and dual studies should not be mixed or confused. Different levels of education require different approaches in defining the concept. And now, finally, speaking about concept designs, I'd like to point out some things which I believe are crucial factors and starting points in the design and implementation of a new concept in Moldova or anywhere else. Just try to answer these questions for yourself, and you will immediately get what I mean. Why should the concept be made very simple for students and partners, and how to describe it that way? Why and how should we provide sufficient information of the partner and student target groups? How to define the rules of the game of the participation and co-creation? What are the goals? For example, which modern field of studies should be offered? What is expected from the graduates? Why is the good description and marketing strategy so important? You know the partners which the best career opportunities attract the best students. Adidas in Germany had 1,500 applications for just 50 students. You can imagine the demand is 50 times higher than the supply. That's marketing, that's branding. If each student is enrolled, the study program is nothing special. But if only 70% of students who applied get enrolled in the dual system, it will automatically increase its attractiveness. And there are much more important things to mention here. Success doesn't come from one day to the other. The concept must be balanced, attractive, and meaningful for all participants. The university is only one of the two stages. The second stage is the workflow on the partner side. Both stages must be challenging for the student and require as much from them as possible. Success comes with job opportunities for students after graduation, or skilled workers for the economy, most recent training, global connections, learning from the best, and flexible study programs. Dual study is much more than that. Success of dual studies is based on 4 important success factors which sound simple but require a hard professional work, and namely, companies have the selection of the students. You teach in small groups with maximum 30 students in face-to-face classes. Compulsory attendance. Graduates are the future managers and again focus on students of the dual study program. What does this mean further? So this has the effect of competition between partners, which means advantages for students, which in turn leads of attractiveness of studies. So we need a branch which high competition in the HR market and where the salaries are high enough to attract students. We have at the moment in the IT park 800 companies which are fighting for the 600 graduates each year. The gap of skilled technical workers is enormous. And one experience from my practice is that it is often easier to start something new than to change an established system. So let's think how we can make a system that is simple, balanced, attractive and meaningful. Let's think about it from all perspectives. Let us think where the greatest challenges await. Let's think about an elite that be created in this new educational approach. And let's start with a modern new dual study, which is first of all attractive for the students who at this moment are thinking about studying abroad. To prevent this, there is no high price. Let us level our main aim. Moldovan dual study can prevent educational migration. Thank you.